So if I have a goal of, hey, I want to squat 500 pounds for 10 and I get 9, yeah, that side of me is going to come out like rage, like what the f-? And I'm going to put it all on myself.
Hey everybody, welcome to It's Just Bodybuilding, episode 120. Of course, Dusty Hanshaw, Scott McNally, myself, Big Ron Partlow. And today we have a guest, Mr. Chris Fine is in the house on It's Just Bodybuilding.
Appreciate you guys having me on, man.
I got to remind everyone to like, share, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell. You bet. You bet. So, yeah, welcome to the show, man. You know, Dusty, we were talking about the NPC Nationals on the show, and Dusty was saying who impressed him. And he made Scott pull your photo up. And so that's how you kind of came up on the show. And we're happy to have you here, my friend.
Shit, man, I'm happy to be here, bro. I appreciate the opportunity.
We had to have you on because you fit the mold of it seems to be our guests in general. Like I told Ron and Scott to take a peek at some of your videos and stuff, and I can always tell in the industry. One thing I love is when you find someone, you look at who follows them and who comments. Like our friend Gina Davis actually shared one of his posts before, and you know what she thinks about training and how dark it should be. So
yeah, I had one question I wanted to ask him right off the bat. It was, what is the best hamstring movement, and why is it 6-plate stiff leg deadlifts?
Hey, I don't know because I don't have any fucking hamstrings to show for it. So.
Hey, it looks good for the gram. Don't worry about it.
I saw Dusty do it, so I said I got to give it a shot, man.
Right. It's good for, I don't know. What's it good for, Dusty?
The gram.
You're kind of a for the gram. There we go.
What else is there in this world? No, but it's, truthfully, I do like that those kind of things. It does not shock me watching the video and then seeing the muscle. You know, we talked about that a million times. You can always tell how someone trains when you see them on stage. You know, even if they're, there's just a density to muscle that I don't care what your genetics are. You don't have that crazy, dense granite look without the training, and that appears to be your style from jump. How long have you been actually competing in bodybuilding?
So I did my first show when I just turned 18. So 12 years, man, I've been competing.
Man, I didn't even. And why is it? I'm dead serious. What's happened over the last couple of years that kind of puts you on the map? Because I don't really follow a ton of people, like actually see them and comment and stuff. And I don't even know how you came up that I found you, but obviously you started grabbing people's attention somewhere. Did you?
Instagram has a stiff leg deadlift filter now, and it has a bot, and it picks up on other people doing crazy heavy deadlifts.
We found another dumbass just like you, Dusty. Here he is.
Nah, man.
Suggested follows.
Transparently, my physique just wasn't shit up until a couple of years ago, to be honest. I would love the bodybuilding, and I pursued it, but I just didn't. My body wasn't responding until just a couple of years ago. But I think that has a lot to do with finding a fucking gym where you can actually train like that.
Mm-hmm.
I know like a couple of years ago, the big thing was the new 24-hour fitnesses, and we're not going to mention names like gyms acting by their name, but it's hard to find a gym unless you own one or a couple of buddies that own one where you can actually train that way, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. And what? How did you get that? Did you buy a gym? Did you find a gym? What'd you do?
Yeah, man. So like after college and I internship with Dave Palumbo, we talked a little bit. I moved back to my hometown and opened up a gym because I said, man, if I really want to pursue bodybuilding, which ever since I got into it, my dream has just been to try to be a pro. I know it's not as prestigious now as back when you guys went pro, but it's just been a goal of mine to reach that of like, hey, man, I can actually be a professional at something that I've given all my energy to. It is, like I said, it's just been a goal to me. So I said, I got to come back, and I opened my own gym in my hometown, and that and the rest is history, to be honest. And that's where I really felt like I started making the progress in my physique.
Well, amazing what you can do when you handpick your equipment, right? Yeah. So, what did you have in that gym, and how did you outfit it to work for you and for the public?
All right, so a little bit about the backstory, man. So when I was in New York interning with Dave, when that came to an end, when my parents were like, "All right, now you're on your own. You got to pay for all your own shit," I actually was going to get enlisted in the military. And when I took my ASVAB, I said, "Man, I want to go in as an officer," because I graduated from college with exercise science from Appalachian State. I said, "I want to go into an officer. I don't want to be at the bottom of the barrel." And the guy, the recruiter, man, he told me, he just looked at me straight in my face. He's like, "Yeah, you're not going to pass the test to be an officer, so you need to do this route." And I was kind of, like, this motherfucker, man. Like, I want to prove you wrong. But then at the same time, I was like, why do I want to even go into something if you already fucking doubt me? Huh. So, and if anybody knows me personally, I have nothing but respect for our troops, man. I think that they deserve way more than what they get right now. But then my mother, she was like, before you start, going and working in another gym, because I worked in the gym for 2 years after college. She was like, why don't you just fucking come down and open up a gym? And I was like, man, this is the first time that she actually pushed me to do that. It kind of took my dad a little bit of time to get on board. So I moved back from New York to my hometown, and I knew like they didn't have the gyms like we just talked about, so I had to do it myself. But yeah, so I took all of my money, man, my savings. My dad made us invest in stocks, me and my brother, when we were younger. I mean, my dad's an intelligent guy. And I just cashed out, man. So I cashed out everything. I said, I'm gonna put my life savings in this. If it doesn't work, I'll go to the service, and then I can afford bodybuilding. So like, my whole life was just, I want to be able to afford to pursue this lifestyle. I don't care about the flat screen TVs and the cars. I literally just want to have enough money to eat my food and train when I want to train. Like, that was the goal of mine at 15 years old, was how cool would it be to go into the gym at 9:30, 10 o'clock while everybody else goes to work, and I can work out. I said, that's a dream job, man. So literally, I said, the only way I can do this is if I handpick all my equipment. For one, that's what I wanted. I wanted to have everything in my own gym where I could pursue this. So we traveled all over the Southeast, man. I'm talking Atlanta, Tennessee, Virginia, all over North Carolina. I would just look shit up on Craigslist, and it's like, oh, this gym's going out of business, and I'll shoot the guy, let me get this piece. Nice. And then it was on Facebook Marketplace. Oh, this leg press, and I'm like, man, I got to get a Nebula leg press. So I went and bought that. So everything in that gym, man, was handpicked for what I wanted, and we got it, man. And like I said, oh, if I have a gym, I want 200-pound dumbbells. My hometown, man, you're gonna have a gym that has 100-pound dumbbells, 85-pound dumbbells. So literally, I said, look, I don't care what it costs, man. I want everything equipped in my gym. So literally, I had like $200 left in the business account, and I was like, man, if people don't come, I guess we're fucked. I guess it's back to the drawing board. And man, and God willing, man. So we had that gym, and then about 3 years into the gym, all those places, 3 gyms opened up in my hometown. All of them 24-hour fitness, and all your friends that you build that friendship with your clientele. They come in there on a business aspect, and they all tell me, "Oh man, it's nothing personal, but I want to go work out before work," or "Man, it's something personal. I want to go work out after work." And I said, that's cool. I said, but one thing that I promised myself was I don't give a fuck what I got to do. If I got to get a second job, a third job, have somebody run the gym while I'm making money, I want to close those gym doors on my own terms, man. So the smartest thing for me was when COVID hit, they were going to make us shut down the gyms anyway. So I don't know if I should say this, but I don't really care. But I went to my accountant and I said, I have to keep training. So I don't know. I know a lot of guys are similar. We train because we love training, and the stage is a byproduct. And for me, man, my personal life was kind of just fucked up the whole time I owned that gym. And the one thing that stayed consistent was training. So I went to my accountant and said, look, I got to figure out a way to keep this gym. And he goes, well, let's be honest. You're barely scraping by at being a public gym. So if I were you, I would shut it down and run it as a nonprofit. He's like, that way you don't have to deal with the public. And he's like, all you got to do is basically pay the overhead if you want insurance on your equipment. And then he's like, pay your overhead, your insurance, and your light bill. So to me, that sounded shit right then and there, man. I'm going to save money, and I could probably make just as much and not have to deal with the public. I'm in. So I talked to a group of my friends, and I was like, look, the only way we're going to be able to keep this gym through COVID, because there's just no way I could afford it by myself, was to split the rent. And so all of them were like, hell yeah, I'm in. I don't want to train anywhere else. There's not another gym like this within miles of our hometown. So I'm in. So we shut it down to the public, man, and we just been training there ever since. And made it private. Everybody had a key; they could come and go as they wanted to, and it was the best time of my fucking life for training, man. You walk in the door, you lock the door behind you, and like if you watch any of my videos, man, we fucking turn the music up as loud as we can, and just that's just the atmosphere that I love the training, man.
So, how many guys were pitching in? Like, what was the size of this group?
We had like eight guys, man, and then one of my friends was like, "Man, fuck it, bro. You should start making some money. Like, if people want to come in here and you trust them, bring them in." So at one point we had like 14, 15 people, but literally that was just enough to pay the rent and the overhead, and that's how we made it happen.
That's awesome.
Wow.
The gym was only probably like 6,000 square foot, but like I said, man, I wanted everything. Like when I trained in New York, I was training at Bev's, and that's the first time I've ever been in a gym with a legit leg room. So I said, man, when I open a gym up, I want a leg room. And then I know how we like to deadlift and like to squat. So I was like, we need our own room where we can like walk into that fucking room and you just feel that energy. So we had 2 squat racks in in this little shit. It was probably like 600 square foot, man, or 800 square foot. And it was known as the room in our gym where you just go to fucking war with yourself, man. If you had a bad day at work, you had a relationship breakup, you could literally walk in this little fucking room and just throw weights, like literally throw weights up against the wall if you wanted to.
Right.
I mean, literally, that's that. Like my boy, I trained with my friend Ed, man, and he's the only person that would train with me consistently because when I go to the gym, man, I want to get better. So I don't have feelings when I go into the gym. So if I have a goal of, hey, I want to squat 500 pounds for 10 and I get 9, yeah, that side of me is going to come out like rage, like what the fuck, and I'm going to put it all on myself. Or if Ed would come in there and, he's tired from work, he works his regular job, and he's like, man, he'd show up and I'd just be like, come on, you fucking pussy. Like, why'd you even show up if you're not going to train? And he would get all spectrums of Chris in the gym, man. But he didn't care. He was just like, I just want to be here and train with you, man, and the rest is history.
Can you, like, I've heard another interview with you, so I've heard a little bit of your past, but I wanted to kind of give you the space to tell us some of these stories. I want to start with the sort of go to war with yourself thing and where you think that comes from, and relating to when you started training to now.
All right, so that's gonna get a little. I'm just gonna keep it honest, man. So there's 2 instances in my life where I feel like I'm able to call on that. I think a lot of people misunderstand me when they see my Instagram with training, and then when they meet me in person, they're like, "Oh, you're just a normal guy." So I feel, and a lot of people message me and say, "Man, how do I get that intense? How do I get that intense during my set?" I'm like, that's some shit that you just got to find within you. But there's 2 incidents, man, that like one that got me into body, like one that was like, okay, I need to stop with the bullshit outside the gym. And that was when I was 16 years old, man. 4 of my friends, man, we was in a car and we got busted by the cops. So we was about to roll up a joint, and I knew one of my friends was into pills, man, and I never got into that. But at that age, I was like, fuck, like we're about to get locked up. And I told him, so like the cop come up, he was like, put your fucking hands up, man, put your fucking hands up. And I had this drink in my hand, and I was like, hold up. And he had a taser out. He's like, put your motherfucking hands up now. So I just dropped that shit, man. Shit went out of my thing. And they was like, all right, so we got to get statements by all 4 of you guys. So they called one of us out the car, and they just left us kind of. And I told my friend, I was like, look, man, do you have any pills in the car? Because if you do, we're fucked. We're going to get locked up. Nah, man, I don't. But at the time, I didn't trust him. I was like, bro, if you have pills in the car, I'll kill you, bro. Because like this is our future. Luckily, he didn't, man. So at the cops, we was all like 16, 17, and we played baseball for the high school. And the cop was like, look, we're gonna call your parents. You're lucky that we know that you guys are good kids. He was like, but if this shit happens again, like you're not gonna be so lucky. So my parents are very very fair with how they raised us. And they was like, and I said, look, man, the one thing I want to do, I know I'm grounded, but I want to go to the gym. So they was like, you can go to school and a gym, and that's it. You got to come home. So right then and there, I knew. I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't want to risk losing my gym time or whatnot. Like, that's the only thing that keeps me sane. So I think that triggered me to be like, okay, now you just need to dive into bodybuilding because that's your safe place. You know, like I remember being in college and I was taking this calculus test, and anybody can blame fucking anxiety or whatnot why they didn't pass the test. But I called my mom up. I was like, damn, like I think I just failed that test. She's like, go to the gym. Go to the gym. Like that's where you need to be at. So that was one. And then two, in 2018, man, I hit rock bottom depression, and it was over a relationship, which, man, if anybody's listening to this, it's not the end all be all, man. So like you got to just move forward and take it as a learning experience if it doesn't work. But like I hit rock bottom, and this is the kitchen table that I talked about whenever I was in that podcast with Clinton with Behind the Muscle. And so I never got this dark, man, and I hope nobody ever does. But I was sitting at this table by myself, and it was the first time that I just was like, I'd rather not be here. You know, I'd rather probably just off myself. So I was sitting here, and I was like, man, I literally am numb to everybody's word. Like everybody that would tell me like, hey man, you just got to get back in the gym and focus. Like I just didn't give a fuck. I didn't want to hear what they had to say. So everything was gray. I had no emotion. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad. At that point, I just was like, I just don't care. And I felt like I was alone because as a gym man, as a gym owner, everybody comes to you with their bullshit. And then at that point, I just didn't want to hear anymore. So I cut that off. And I was coming back to this house. Like I just got out of a relationship. And I'll sit at this kitchen table, man, by myself. And my ex used to live here. And I'm working out with my fiance now, but like back to the story, I used to sit here, man, and all those triggers would come up, and I was like, at this point, I just don't want to be here. So I started cutting myself, man. And my mom, man, so I called her one evening, and I said, look, if you don't come over here, I'm probably not going to make it. And she goes, man, the last thing I want to do is, you know, come over to your house, bring you some groceries or whatnot, and you laying on the fucking floor. And but at that point, like at that moment, I couldn't feel anything. So I was like, man, I'm numb to words. Everything's gray. Like I literally can't feel touch. So the only thing in my head was like, can you feel pain? You know what I'm saying? Like nobody in their right mind is going to cut themselves because one, it fucking hurts, you know? But whenever I put that knife, man, I couldn't feel that. So that's what I told her. I was like, I need some help, man. So then I started seeing a therapist. I got on the medication and I went down that road. But I promised to myself now, man, I'll never go back to that. But back to your question of like, where does that spark? I think whenever you experience that, man, you can call on it. You know, you can call on it and get really, really, really deep within your workout and intensity level. Yeah.
Do you find something like that, you know, being at rock bottom, what do you think the exact motivation, like when you say you call on it, do you mean you just remind yourself of how lucky you are to be in the gym, remind yourself of the opportunity to do the set you're about to do? Is it that type of thing? Like
see, man, it's weird because I want to be the best I can be now. So like let's see, how do I word this, man? Back in 2018, 2019, it was like, I don't ever want to go that, but you still battle. Like it's like anything. If you're a recovering addict, it's not going to happen overnight, right? So just because, I don't put a knife to my wrist, I still battle with anxiety. I still battle with depression, and those feelings come and go. But I would call on that of like, I guess you're battling that voice of like, you're never going to make it. You're never going to be shit. Like where you was at rock bottom, man, only a few people were there. Everybody else still lived their life. So it was a battle within. But I can honestly say I don't call on that anymore, you know, and I don't want to call on that because honestly, when I was training like that, it was dark, man. You know, it was a very dark time of my life. It wasn't fun to go to the gym. It was, all right, let's go fucking kill yourself in the gym so you don't kill yourself outside the gym. So I just wanted physical and mental exhaustion when I left the gym. So I was so tired that I wouldn't really even think about doing any harm. But now I don't train like that anymore. I just train because like, now you're telling me after all the fucked up shit you've been through, man, that you could actually see yourself becoming a pro, and that was a lifetime goal through all the bullshit in life. The whole goal over the past 15 years was I want to be a professional bodybuilder, but I guess I just wasn't mature enough to like ignore that type of the personal stuff and really focus on this goal. So in the past 3 years, I promised myself, I'm like, you have to just focus on this goal. And if anything comes up and tries to trigger you or get you to go back, you have to decide that you don't want to go that pathway.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's a smart move. And I mean, kind of a segue for you and for everyone else. But when you're building, and this is a conversation I actually had just yesterday with someone, when you're building a brand, you think about what you associate with. Like when you look at companies like Mutant, for example, when we had a ton of people, everyone made sense that was within the brand. If someone came in and someone said, oh, we have this great bikini competitor, she does kickbacks with 5-pound dumbbells, she's got 200,000 followers, we'd say, yeah, she's great, but she doesn't fit our brand. So it was easy to say no. I think people don't do that enough in their personal life. You got to sit down and just look at yourself and say, what energy do you allow in your life? Because kind of like you were saying, your personal bullshit was getting in the way of your goals. So you have things that don't fit your goal getting in the way of them. If you remove them, it gets easy, because it doesn't shock me now after hearing that I saw you in the last year. And, the reason I asked, to bring you on the show is because I would, like I told you today, I would bet that next year you will turn pro, but it's not personal. I've never spoken to you before this. It's purely just, you can see someone who's driven and is in an old school place as far as what drives you, but also you got a one-track mind now. And I think that that's a beautiful thing when you can, and you surround yourself with people like that see it and support it versus are getting in your way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was the biggest thing, man. Like with this prep, I think in bodybuilding, man, especially like when preps get deeper, you think you're alone. You think like, because we create this daily life of like discuss, like living like a monk. Like you want to wake up, you want to do your cardio, you want to eat, you want to train, and you don't want to be fucked with at all. And I think that's like the first time in my life I've had friends that loved me from a distance but really supported me, and I never allowed them in to care. So like what drove me into that dark place was, man, these people don't give a fuck about your bodybuilding. These people don't even care about you as a person. Like, and I see like my best friends like, oh, he's married with kids. And my parents would always be like, man, reach out to him. He cares about you. Man, he doesn't care about me. Like, he's my friend, but he got his own shit to deal with. So then you create this shit in your head of where you're so lonely in bodybuilding. But I think like this prep really allowed me of like, nah, man, these guys will ride with you. They care about you. And that support, man, when you get deep into a prep, it's priceless to have that kind of support team on your side.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, we always say, bodybuilding is not an individual endeavor because, it requires a team or a support network of some kind, whether it be even just one person who, has your back 100%. What would you say you had, like who would you say was your immediate network of support this round?
So first and foremost, my parents, man, like back when I first started, what parent wants to see their 165-pound kids say, "I want to be a bodybuilder"? So my dad, he didn't really understand it. He was like, "Nah," and I was so immature. Like we would fight, but now I can see why he pushed me to like get an education and like, hey, you need to make money so you can do this hobby. There's no way. And like, remember back then, man, there's no Instagram. You don't make money online coaching or personal training. You get up and you go get a state job or you get a professional career like a lawyer or doctor, and you support your family and then you do your hobbies. So we clashed heads all growing up. But now, man, after seeing like, shit, Chris, he's structured his whole life. And I can honestly probably say he's probably, I don't know how the fuck he makes money because he doesn't really understand like the coaching business and stuff like that. So that's how I make my money.
He just thinks you sit home all day.
He's like, man, you got to go get a fucking job, man. You being a bum, you know. But and then my mom, she's just like, she sees how passionate I am, man, and that's a fault of its own, like in relationships, in my job, in bodybuilding. I'm not a type of guy that can just half-ass shit. Like, if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. But if I want to do it, I'm still chasing bodybuilding after 15 years of seeing a magazine wanting to do it. And I'm still not a pro, but I'm going to be a pro, you know? And so then, first and foremost, my parents, and then just my friends. But I've got like 4 best friends that just, they've never been jealous or envious. They've just, Chris, you've got the mindset, man. And they all know my personal bullshit of why I've been distracted on this journey. And they're like, dude, you just need to focus on the bodybuilding, man. You could do it if you really want to do it. And seeing them support me, it's the first time in my life, man, that I've actually believed in myself now to this day that I'm like, you know what, if I eliminate all distractions, I know I can do it. But a funny story, man, like my fiance, we decided that we was going to take a break like 6 weeks out, 5 weeks out before the Nationals. And that fucking destroyed me. Right now, we're talking, man, and that's my best friend, my life partner. But I would have left too, man. I was neurotic. You know, I'm like fucking very pusher in a way and stuff. Like, don't fuck with me. I got to focus on his bodybuilding prep. And I think that's why I placed 4th at the show. But at that point when she left, man, or like we decided that we was going to split ways, it really fucked with me, man. And I was like, man, I don't want to do the show anymore. And I kind of went into this on the other the other interview. And before then, man, like up until that qualifier where I was 260 on stage, and I told you that I was not in shape from the rear, so I rightfully so need to be a little bit lighter. I was a fucking robot, and I promised to myself, I was like, I'm not gonna be distracted. I would listen to the same David Goggins video every single morning on cardio. I'd come home, I eat my meals at the same time as any top level bodybuilder I think does. I sit here at this table. I'm listening to the Mike Tyson interview every single morning because I would train in the morning at like 8:30. So when I woke up, I wanted to just be so mentally prepared and zoned in that like I want to win the day. I think somebody else said that's their motto. But when we broke up, man, that drive and that focus, it just completely shut off because I was like, fuck. She means more to me than bodybuilding, and that's just the fucking truth. I'm just gonna be honest. And I was like, man, without her here, because she was the one who said you need to do the Nationals. She was the one who said take money out of your savings account and get a massage therapist. She was the one who said, because I was gonna do my own prep, and she goes, no, you need to hire a coach. So this whole prep was sparked by her. And then like thinking of, okay, she's in her nursing school. I'm focused on this bodybuilding. I always have her in the next room over, but I focused on me. When we decided to split, man, it killed me. So every single day from that point, I was like, man, I don't even want to do this shit. I'm probably just going to go on Instagram and say I got to battle this mental health, and my mental health is more important than this show. And so I know Dusty trained with Turner Riddle, and I will give him a shout out, man, because he told me, he's like, look, he said, Chris, you have a lot of potential, man. He's like, but I'm going to keep it honest with you. He's like, if you keep saying that you're going to compete and then you fucking stop, and then you're going to say you're going to compete and you stop, he's like, you want to make a career in bodybuilding, whether that's as a pro or a coach or whatever, he's like, you might as well kiss that shit goodbye. And I said, nah, man, like I'm gonna do the show, but man, it's fucking hard. He was like, yeah, so what? He's like, commit to the show, or if you quit this time, you might as well just be done, man, because everybody just sees that you was going to do the USAs, and I tore my labrum, and I stopped. Then I was going to do a show, and then COVID fucking, we had travel restrictions. I couldn't do that show. So but see, people don't care about that, man. And honestly, I don't give a fuck about that either. They see what you bring to the stage. If you're going to be an active athlete, that's what they want to see. They don't care about the backstory. And I know probably 90% of the other guys have their own story that they had to battle get on that stage. But man, at 2 weeks out, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this shit anymore, man. Like when other shit got ramped up and the food got pushed low, I was like, I don't want to do this shit, man. And my mom was like, nah, you're doing the show. Like I'm coming to North Carolina today, and like we're gonna leave in 3 days, and I've already booked the hotel in Orlando. Like you're doing the show, because she knew if I stopped, it would just eat at me even more. She knew that. And at the time, in the moment, my mind's not thinking straight. I'm like, I don't give a fuck, man. I just want to stop. And you know how at that point you're going to make your own decision anyway. So my mom literally came up to North Carolina the next day, and she was like, no, like you're doing the show. So my mom did cardio with me every single morning at 3:30 in the morning, every day up to the show, man. And that's like, somebody looking in might be like I said on the other podcast, you're a fucking pussy. You need your mom to come do cardio with you. Like, you obviously don't want it that bad. But man, like when you get left with somebody that you think you're gonna be with the rest of your life, it's a tough pill to swallow. But then it's like, you just gotta finish the business of bodybuilding, man. And she pushed me. So to answer your question, not going on a tangent, the biggest support in this one, man, was my fiance that made me do the show initially. But then my mom rode out with me, man. And then I got to put in my training partners as well. Like Ed, he trained with me every single day. Like I think I told you off the air, man. We would be fucking. He's seen every spectrum of Chris. Happy Chris, depressed Chris, rage and ready to fucking kill people, Chris. So like Ed, man, big shout out to him for like just showing up every single day. Like no matter what I said to him, or if I cussed him out during a session or called it. See, like when I train, a lot of people misinterpret that. Like, they're like, man, I don't like when he calls me a pussy, or like, man, he's being a bitch. I'm basically talking to my training partner as a mirror image to like feed off of myself. So if I see Ed sitting on the bench, I'm like, yo, get the fuck up, man. If you want to sit down, you shouldn't even came here today. And Ed, he's real laid back, man. So he'll just get up and he's like, I don't take shit that you say in the gym personal. Other people, man, fuck you, man, I'm leaving. And then that would rank me up even more, because you're in that zone, and I'm like, all right, if you want to leave, get the fuck out of here anyway, bro. You know what I'm saying?
I love it.
But that's Chris in the gym wanting to be a fucking bodybuilder, man. You know? And then outside the gym, it's just, okay, eat my food and chill with my dog, man. That's about it.
Everyone comes home to their dog.
Yeah.
True,
yeah, everyone
true.
comes home to their dog. That's funny, man. Yeah. You sound like the Chuck Vogel of your gym. You know, you hear those old powerlifting stories of him, you know, telling people off, and that's funny.
It's nothing personal, man. It's like, because he's probably sitting on the bench because I came in with a lazy attitude. You know what I'm saying? Because those guys would feed off me, because I would call the workout, this is what we're doing today. And like, it's just natural that my energy would, we've been training together for 4 years, man. So if I'm tired and I come in there, he's like, oh, I'm going to sit down a little bit. And then I have to know, like, you don't have time to be tired. If you really want to see this dream, you can't waste a day. So then I would start feeding off of him and saying shit to him, but as a reflection of like, Chris, you need to get your ass in gear, man, because somebody else is out there. You know, like Dorian used to say, I'm going to make these fucking people pay in California, like getting up, riding their fucking cars to the gym. And I like that mentality of like, I want to beat them, bro. Because like, we're all competitive, but then it narrows down of like, you got to beat yourself before you can beat them. Like, if you're not progressing within yourself, it doesn't matter what the next man is doing, you know?
You're gonna make me all self-conscious of every time I sit on a bench between a set now. I'm gonna have a complex about it. I'll sit down on a bench, and then I'll like a half a second later I'll stand up like, oh geez, shit.
Nah, man,
I was sitting down for a second.
You're not allowed to, even if you're retired. You're never allowed.
Yeah, I thought I was old enough where I could just sit on the hammer machine between sets and not even get up, just do another set.
Bring your newspaper.
It got to it's just like prep though. It gets to the point where you're just sitting on the bench and you just got to remind yourself, like, get up, man, get up, like, keep going. Because I know Dusty said this before, way back. He was like, man, I don't know what 60% is, like, what is going into the gym and, you know, just get a pump or 60% this or RPE of this. To me, I'm like, if I'm not even going to go to the gym if I'm not going to train and have fun of like pushing myself. Like, I just think that's a waste of time. But as I get older, I'm like, all right, there's some days where you need to calm it down and just get a pump. And then when your body's ready to go back to that mindset of like the progressive overload and pushing your body.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a difficult balance, though. I feel you on that, because I used to, the cruise periods, I just wouldn't train. Because you know how it works. You go in when you're beat up at first, you're paying attention. Then you walk in one day and you feel good, and you're kind of like, well, I don't want to waste the way I feel here. I should probably get after it a little bit. And next thing you know, you're setting records, and you're like, ah, shit, I wasn't supposed to do that today. Yeah,
It
not
always, I
good.
mean, it always happens, man. Like, oh, I'm just gonna do I'll do more volume. I'll just do more sets of 405 on the deadlifts, and then you do 405, and you're like, okay, that was an easy 6 or 8. And throw another plate on there. Like, fuck it. If it was that easy, what is 4 sets of 8 gonna do? I'd rather just get one big set in. It's hard.
What's
Hard to find that balance, man.
What's your plan now between, as far as with your physique, before we let you go, on what you need to do to beat the version you brought this time, and then of course to be good enough that you think you can shut the door on anyone else? What do you got to do in the next year?
I gotta bring my hamstrings up. That's always been a stubborn body part for me. I would like to have more sweep on the quads, and it's just my philosophy, man. Like, I don't think you could target specific sweep. I think just overall more muscle on my quads will make them pop even more. And then I would like to see from the rear more lat width and then more back thickness. So I basically bring up the rear and then a little bit more quads. I think everybody at that level is going to have decent arms and decent chest. I don't think that's going to win the show,
Right. No, I agree. But I think you've got an awesome blend of freak size, but also shape. I mean, it flows really well on stage,
Yeah, and your condition was good, man. Like, your glutes were tight, man.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, being because I know a lot of people wanted to see me and Nate stand next to each other, and like being there in person, and like I'm not delusional, man. Like, I'll give credit where credit's due. Like, those guys that beat me were just sharper. So like, but then I know what I did to try to bring it in even sharper. So I'm like, I gotta find that balance of like, okay, I gotta hold the size, but I do need to be a little bit tighter to push ahead of those guys. And I know in the top 5, to be quite honest, man, I was probably the softest in that top 5, to be honest. It's just, I think the thickness of my muscle carried me to a 4th place.
Right. Well, that was a hell of an opening debut. I mean, typically, and we don't really sugarcoat, for the last couple of years, to be in the top 5 at a super heavyweight class to me wasn't a big deal. 1 and 2, or typically just 1, stood out so far ahead of everyone else. Whereas, to be honest with you, I mean, this was a show where it was exciting to watch amateur bodybuilding, and it's been a minute. I mean, I actually watched it live from home because I wanted to see. There were so many good guys. So, I don't see any reason why, if you make the tweaks, and I mean, you and Dave learned a little bit of a lesson the last few days, is, and I've made that mistake too. When you're a bigger guy, because you're just a big ass guy, sometimes losing fullness actually makes you lose condition when you're chasing condition. You guys tried to push it down when in reality you should have just thrown it in cruise control and finished the prep. You'd have been harder when you just pulled your water. So live and learn stuff, I mean, I would consider 4th at that show a hell of a debut, and both as with a coach and a client, and in that pro level, because I think most people now know, okay, you're legit. Because there is a lot of social media where I'll say it out loud. I'm like, well, we'll see what the stage shows, because I see a lot of really good guys on Instagram, but let me see what the stage shows, and even though you were a little, there were some tweaks you guys would make, you were in shape. It was just everyone was in shape. So, we're excited to see what you bring and to follow along. Is there anywhere, I mean, where can everyone find you that doesn't know who you are as far as social media? What are your accounts and stuff?
Just the Instagram, man. It's Chris Fine, my name, and then 91 at the end of my name. Yeah, I don't have the Facebook and stuff. I'm not too technology inclined.
Yeah.
So just Instagram.
Hey, how long it took us to do this show.
I envy you if all you have is an Instagram to worry about. It's a good,
man.
That's a good position.
I try to do Twitter and all that shit, man. I just like, that's not for me, man. So I just do the Instagram.
No, it's just bottled rage on Twitter is all you get. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you, man. And
hey, man.
Like I said, Dusty, made a point of bringing you to attention on the show, and then the 6-plate stiff leg deadlifts were definitely a a little add-on was good. You fit right in. So I know our fans are gonna. I know they're gonna love hearing you talk about going crazy in the gym. So keep at it, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to take a brief moment to shout out our sponsors. I'll make it quick, but this stuff's super important because it's our sponsors that help to make this show possible. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here. And if it wasn't for you shopping with our sponsors, we wouldn't be here either. You can support our programming by shopping with TrueNutrition.com. They're our title sponsor. They've supported us for a number of years. They have awesome health and performance supplements. You can ask Skip or Dusty or Scott Stevenson all about True Nutrition, and they'll tell you how good of a company they are. Hardcore bodybuilders have trusted them for over 15 years now. Use our code THINK. You'll get some savings. You'll support our programming. If you're in Canada, you can shop with supplementsource.ca. They have highly discounted supplements, discounts on bulk orders, and free shipping over $99. Check them out. And finally, you can directly support our programming on Patreon. I'll have links below for Patreon and everything else. We're taking more questions over there, and I appreciate everybody who's already helping to directly support our programming through our Patreon. All right, guys, thanks for hanging with me. Let's get back to the show.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I have a fruit fly. It's bothering me. It's been bothering me the whole show. If you see this happening, people, there's one fruit fly that's been ruining my life this entire episode, but that's okay. So, Chris is an intense fucking dude, man. I was stoked because I actually don't know him, but I see the rage in the video, so it makes sense to me now.
Yeah. No, I saw a little bit of another interview he did, so I knew that he had some, places to go if you just let him talk. So it's good to hear.
I love it. That's the best way to interview to me. Just get out of the way.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you look at pretty much any podcast, the ones that are the most watchable are the ones where the guests, are able to just talk and the hosts don't have to dig stuff out all the time. And you know how it is, Scott. Mm-hmm. You've only done 3,000 podcasts.
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah, Chris is great
great
too, man. He had no problem. Just he's thought a lot about it. I bet you it sounds like he learned a lot from this prep too. Like I bet you this next one around, not only does he know what he wants to bring on the stage, but I think he knows what's important to him in his support system, like he was talking about. Yeah. It'll be good.
Yeah. And I hopefully someone else listening maybe gets a little bit out of, him talking about his tough times too. Right.
Yeah.
We got listeners that are going through a lot, so it's good when they know that they're not the only one, and maybe they'll shoot them a message or something. It's crazy how this works.
Yeah, we should probably get Antonio Brown to watch this one. That'd probably be helpful for him.
Yeah.
Do not strip down and quit your job while the game is happening. Anyways, just a thought. Give me an Uber.
Yeah, that was interesting. He just sort of said, I'm out of here. Okay.
I'm going to go. But I guess, you know what? In fairness, he left everything that wasn't his. He's like, these shoulder pads technically aren't mine, so I'll leave them here in the jersey. And, hell, you can have my undershirt too. All right, I'm out of here.
Right. Yeah, he was just returning the team's property.
Yeah, that's all that was. It wasn't psychosis at all. Did you do a question box?
I did, and I got tons. And I'm wondering, I don't know. I'm wondering if do we try like rapid fire just to see if we can plow through all of them?
I ain't scared.
Because sometimes, we don't do that. I'm just suggesting the opposite of what we normally do, where we do a question and then we talk about it for 10 minutes. And
I'm down with rapid fire. Plus, 120 episodes. We haven't fucked it up too terribly. Let's see how it goes. Maybe this will be the one that ends it.
No. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna say it's rapid fire, but then we'll probably get stuck on a question.
Fucking immediately. The first question will be 11-minute answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just keep this. Okay. What do you think about the Aceto technique for prep? Pretty low carb, sometimes really low carb, and then hitting you with refeeds.
Simple. It works.
Yes.
It's a very effective way to diet most people.
Yeah, I think we can way overcomplicate. Look at rather than ask yourself what you think about it, it seems to work with almost every single person. So yes.
Yeah, and so think about it this way. So think about the people that Okay, let's think of someone that Aceto worked with that people don't think was perfect. Okay,
Sean Roden.
Like, right. So so I remember Aceto telling me Roden was on 25 grams of carbs for like a little while.
Wow.
Yep.
And that, so, like weeks. Now think of like Ramy, when Aceto helped Ramy, did Ramy get second that year or third? I can't remember.
I don't think he got second.
Aceto, was he fourth or something? I don't know. The year Aceto helped Ramy.
But that was like the leanest he had ever gotten at the time. And maybe they didn't nail it, you know what I mean? But it was like a step toward.
Like, right. So even like a guy like Ramy, like still places, at the time top whatever it was 3, and has strided glutes and is shredded. But the criticism, he's not as big as he needs to be, blah blah blah. So it still worked. He was fucking peeled.
Yeah.
Right. So even when people criticize a technique like, that guy worked with that coach and he only got 4th. Yeah, at the Olympia, and he was in shape. So it's so easy to criticize a technique, but if you look at the actual track record of who had like strided glutes on stage in shape, it's pretty crazy.
Plus, one more addition is if you follow him or know him on a personal level, from the top to the... Are you hearing me or no? Everyone's moving.
Yeah. You're a little fuzzy. You're a little fuzzy, but we hear you fine.
It doesn't hurt your face.
I look better fuzzy. Nothing helps it. He gets guys peeled that are 136 pounds and guys that are 300 pounds.
Yeah.
That to me is a pretty strong tell that you're consistent.
With the same.
What else we got? We got this. We're sucking rapid fire. That was not fast.
Okay. Three words to describe EQ.
That was not fast. Awesome. Fucking awesome.
Awesome. Fucking awesome. Okay. Reliable.
You're welcome.
Effective. And I don't know. I'll say
pain-free.
Legitimate because, pain-free. Okay.
And endurance. Okay. I'd add endurance in there. Endurance. Leanness is it's not the right word, but like less endurance, less water than DECA. That's 5.
Yeah. Are BCAAs useless now because everyone's using EAAs?
No. We're doing rapid fire, dude. No.
Okay.
We're not even answering the questions completely. It's just no. No.
Yes, next.
The answer is no, because think about all the time that they worked. I think people just want to look past them. I still use both on the regular. It's still a basic building block to muscle mass to me. So those facts didn't go away.
Okay. What about you, Scott? What do you say? BCAAs versus EAAs?
I'm going to say yes, they're useless. Dusty, I'm going to say...
You said, are they useless?
Are they useless? Are they useless? Yes. I don't like them. I found that... I'm going to say a lot of words. I found that when dieting, I would be more likely to go hypo. And I started reading about it, and I learned that the leucine can trigger that. So for me... it didn't really help. And then I had a bad experience because my first ever contest prep, I was using them with my fasted cardio. And it's back when like Extend. I can't remember. What was it? The first big product. Extend. I was using that. 15 grams, and then I ran out and I couldn't afford more and I started getting leaner faster. So I think for me, they held me back. So I kind of have a little bit of a vendetta now against BCAA. So I'm trying to put them out of business.
So I have an opinion about aminos. I think that drinking some aminos when you're training like super fucking hard with weights is a good idea. But I often have run into people that are like, hey, can you help me? I think I'm behind. And I look at what they're doing and they're drinking aminos all day. like they're putting aminos in their gallon in the morning,
Right.
and then their second gallon, and then when they train they drink 30 grams because they think they're going to lose muscle, and then they do 20 grams during cardio, and another, like literally people drinking 50 60 grams of aminos a day.
Good God.
And you have to remind them that your body can change all that stuff into glucose pretty easily if you're in a deficit, and you wind up just sort of like elevating your blood sugar all the time when you're not, and you don't burn fat as effectively, and yada, yada, yada. And so I think people, like I often tell my clients to drink some aminos when they're training, but that's it. I don't tell people to drink it in the morning. I don't tell people to drink it on cardio. I'm just not convinced that it's a good idea. Okay. That wasn't short. Hey, Dusty, what's a top resource to learn about crypto and blockchain? If you were just to send somebody like a link or a site or something, like, hey, go here. Can you think of anything?
Oh shit. What's that guy's YouTube account? What's that?
I could get back to you guys on that one.
YouTube that we have. Once I could literally answer this in 2 seconds. Let me look. I'll tell you the guy's YouTube because I keep forgetting it. Boom. Look at this. I'm actually researching for you guys live right now.
So
Boom. Then we're going
for
here.
more advanced people, advanced people who already know about Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they want to like maybe know more about this new shit that's happening with the metaverse and stuff, I would recommend watching the Paul Barron Network. And he's a dude. He sits there in a suit, and he talks about all the metaverse crypto and all that stuff, and about the actual projects. Like, oh, this is a project that will, speed up the processing for this and this and this, like how they're all sort of like tech companies essentially. And so he explains that sort of shit, which really kind of like, oh, that's interesting shit. I get what he means. So if you're a little bit more advanced, the Paul Barron Network would be good to just check out, watch a video. It'll kind of make you go, oh, fuck, what is all this shit? And it's just good to trigger you, get you thinking.
I found that YouTube too is Trade Alts.
Yes, that was
the trade
and then
about the
Alts,
bots.
ALTS.
The bot guy, the
that's
Trade
a cool
Alts
one.
channel.
That was just an interesting, good stuff. That's where it got fun for me, because before that I was just dumping money into different things and sitting there. This is a little more
right.
I'm in the mix.
Yeah, the Trade Alts guy is cool. I don't know. There's lots. I've watched some pretty entertaining ones. There's a lot of good channels about crypto. There's a lot, you think I wonder if these guys are all shysters, like in but it's they all seem to genuinely like really know a lot. Like they get joking around and talking about stuff, and some of them are kind of fun to watch. They're not stiff like pure information. They're kind of making like real world examples and making it easy to understand. So just get on YouTube and surf around.
Is it coming back yet? Because I haven't, just like, I don't look at it sometimes for a while on purpose. So is like Bitcoin and stuff coming back up?
Yeah, like a lot of stuff has recovered, partway from the big drop early December. Bitcoin's struggling to get over 50K, but that's because at the end of the year, they think a lot of people were dumping their Bitcoin to take losses on capital gains.
Yes.
And a whole bunch of shit. But there's all this cool stuff that they'll tell you, like, every year for the last 4 years, Bitcoin has jumped the first week of the year, 7 to 32%.
Huh.
So everyone's expecting it to jump this week. Everyone's expecting it to jump. And one of the things about the market is that it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. If everyone's expecting it to jump, everyone's going to buy some, and then it's going to jump. It's such a manipulated market. Like sentiment and opinion and predictions, like really do alter, so much of what happens. You gotta, it's kind of fun to pay attention to. So we'll see what happens. There's all sorts of unforeseen shit that goes on too. Okay. Dusty seems
Concurred.
Okay. There we go.
I move slow now, apparently.
You move slow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm watching myself. Okay, now we're not even asking the questions fast. Everything has slowed down.
Sorry, Dusty. We need an edit here. That's because
I suck at rapid fire.
Yes, I ran into a section where there were like 10 questions that weren't show worthy, and now I'm into a good patch. Okay. Do you ever miss being super jacked and heavy? That one's for me, and I'm gonna say no, not at all. I'm super happy that I got to do it, and it was fun. And even at 247 pounds, I like kind of ache and crack and make noise when I stand up. And I can imagine at 320, it would just be magnified all that much worse. Okay, Dusty, here's one for you. What's the most disappointing live performance you've ever seen musically? You ever go to a concert and it sucked? I know Scott will have one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm struggling.
I can't think who else was there. Oh, no, I've got some. I saw Snoop live, and he was terrible.
Really?
Yeah.
Terrible.
What was so bad about it?
Not even remotely close to the same. It made me question if everything he did was edited beyond belief. Because it was terrible. He was out of breath. Like, he couldn't keep up with his own music. I mean, he could never have used, what do they call that? The auto-tune or whatever? Because he couldn't even keep up with it.
Huh.
It was not.
Right.
I had to kind of forgive myself for ruining my vision. And then I realized after that in general, because I also saw, who was it? I saw another rap group, like a really good one that's from back in the day. And I can't even think right now. Bone Thugs. They were terrible also.
Oh, and they should be good because they're like actually singing and stuff.
Yeah. But that's funny that you mentioned that.
I was not blown away.
I've seen a bunch of terrible rap concerts. And I'm not sure why. And then, so I've seen Snoop twice. And the one time I saw him, it was like things were turned down a little quieter. And he sounded great. He was like rapping away and it was pretty clear. And the show was kind of small. And then I saw him in an arena. And it was fucking terrible because it was like, it was just echoey as shit and just like wall of noise bullshit. It was terrible. But I know what you mean. Rap concerts are sketchy. It depends on the sound system and how many other people are yelling into microphones. They got their posse on stage and there's 10 other guys yelling and shit. You're like, shut the fuck up. That's funny.
That was not in the song.
That was not in the song. Has a pro athlete ever asked you for steroid advice other than a bodybuilder? Think of like a sports person.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we got to go a little bit more into that.
Help with that process. Yeah. No, when I owned my stores, that was a pretty regular thing with some of the ball players that would come into town. It was really came down to the questions of just because none of them weren't using, they just weren't getting caught. So the magic was what could they do? What was in and out of the system? And a lot of them even understood if they could put on muscle mass in the times that they weren't being tested, could they hang on to some of the functionality of it when they were clean and were being tested? So, yeah, that was a pretty regular thing back in the day.
I had some football players ask me about like how much, sit down and write them out, like explain half-lives to them for like test prop and stuff. So they could stay on a certain amount of test prop and like be pretty safe with drug tests. Cause I got told by a few of the guys that I dealt to, like, listen, I at worst, I'll get like 5 days notice that I'm going to get tested. And I'm like, oh, okay. Right. Well, test prop would actually be pretty safe then. You know what I mean? You take a shot every third day, and you get 5 days notice, it'd be enough to like get your test levels down to normal. So like I helped a couple guys, like just, you explain to people about half-lives and show them like draw the little curve, and they're like, oh fuck, and it kind of clicks in. So, but that sort of thing. Again, you lived in a city with a lot more pro athletes. We had,
yeah. Well, there's one of the major training centers that was down the street. So guys that weren't even there, they'd be there in their off season.
We
asking
got
questions.
Hockey players and Canadian
people.
Hockey players and Canadian football players aren't the same as Major League Baseball and NFL players living just down the street.
Different thing.
You know what I mean? Yeah. What about you, Scott?
I'd say, yeah, but just through the internet, not like locally so much. But when you do shows like this and stuff like that, then you tend up having people, reach out a lot more people in MMA. Honestly, that's where I've had a lot of people reach out, and same thing, like in between seasons, stuff like that. What can I do now where, it'll be out of my system later type thing.
Like they know, like I'm not going to get drug tested till June,
right?
Or something
exactly,
like that.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. MMA is a big one. I helped a bunch of guys make weight for fights.
Yeah.
There was a little phase there where a bunch of guys were coming to me and they're like, "I want to lose body fat so I can make weight better." Instead of doing that, like just do all of your weight cut with water and then feel like fucking trash and almost die in the sauna. So yeah, that was fun to work with guys like that. So, and some of them were doing really stupid stuff with drugs too. I was like, oh, that's not a good idea. Like that sort of thing. Like they just weren't thinking and were getting bad advice. Like there was that window of time, like in the mid 2000s where all the good steroid information was still just a bodybuilding world thing.
Yeah.
And everyone else was just doing stupid shit. Yeah, that was interesting. Some of what the pros were doing, Okay. When's the last time you slammed a brewski?
Saturday. 2.
What'd you drink?
I keep it classy always, Ron. Blue Moon, little orange slice right in the top.
Okay. Now I have to Google what a blue moon is. Do you know what a blue moon is, Scott?
It's a very, like Dusty said, it's a classy beer. I remember one of my bosses, who was a very classy woman, liked Blue Moon.
Just like me, a classy woman.
A very classy woman.
You didn't even mean to do that, but it was flawless. I was like, yes.
I was trying to set you up a little bit, I'll be honest. Like, she was a classy lady. Of course she drank Blue Moon.
You.
Yeah.
Oh, it's made by Coors.
Oh.
It's made by Coors, but it's a Belgian white is what they call it. Belgian style wheat ale. Look at Dusty. And you throw an orange in there? Is that what you do?
Yes.
Huh.
It's a must. I don't even know why. It's just they always do. And then they asked me. I was at Yard House. Do you know what Yard House is?
Well, it sounds like a beer parlor.
It's a beer place, and one of the things you can do is buy a yard of beer that they bring out.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I ain't doing that shit. Just need a couple 16-ounces here. I'm trying to drive home, keep it safe. But you know, there were games
plus,
on.
Plus, you're eating a big steak with that too, I assume.
You're goddamn right. I'm having a big steak with it.
There
Every
you go.
time I go there, I threaten to get something different, and I always go with the ribeye every time.
So I actually had a beer on Christmas Day, which was very unusual. We were at Emily's aunt's house, and they're kind of like the type of people that have a Stella in the fridge. And I just thought, fuck, maybe I will have one. It was Christmas Day. I was like, fuck it, sure, I'll have a Stella. So and it was good. And that's the thing with beer. If I don't drink a lot, a beer's good, but I can't have a second one because it'll fucking blow my gut out. You know what I mean? That type of thing. So you're brave with the 2 in a row, Dusty.
Have you seen my gut? It's always out. No harm, no foul.
What about you, Scott?
Well, what time is it right now? No, I'm kidding.
307.
I'm kidding.
2 hours ago, before
I honestly,
you dialed in with us.
I can't tell you. I'm in recovery. So we had a question the other day on the live feed. They're like, does Scott partake in the reefer? No, not anymore. It's been at least 14 years since I drank a beer. So at least.
Awesome.
Yeah. Works for me.
That's
awesome. You drink all you want, Ron, on Christmas.
Especially on Christmas.
That's the thing is I like don't give a shit about alcohol. Like I could easily go the rest of my life without a drink. It would not even be a problem. It wouldn't even cross my mind. If no one offered me one, I wouldn't even think to drink one.
Oh,
it would
I
never
that.
occur. Yeah.
I could buy a 6-pack and last month. I'd end up throwing it away because it's in the way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like Emily's mom put a couple of beers in the fridge last year when she was here for Christmas. And like they went bad. Like, they got skunky, right? Like,
in June, you were like, we're probably not going to drink these, huh? It's been 6 months.
Yeah, they've been like, I think they were in there for like 11 months. Yeah. I think it was like 11 months. Hey, here's another one. How come everyone's got nut butter in their fucking diet, but nobody just eats peanuts?
It's a valid question. You know what's weird too on the same question? I don't see how everyone's like, oh, I can't control myself with peanut butter. It's not that fucking good. Like, I don't get it. It's just not.
I know. You know the number of people that have said like, oh yeah, like after my show I ate like a whole jar of peanut butter in one night with a spoon. I never got that. I was like, what?
I like it. I get it.
Oh, I like it, but I can't imagine just a jar of it.
My first prep, I had a peanut butter problem because I'd like take some out and then I'd like take another one, and I'd be like, yeah, that's all right. And then I'd be like, every day I realized, man, if I add it up, I just ate like 7 extra spoons and I can't do this shit, but I don't want to take it out of my diet. So I got one of those, the safety deposit bags with the lock on it.
You did not.
I did that, and I gave the key to my girlfriend, and I was like, I can only have peanut butter when you come over. Take this key. I swear to God.
My girl looked at me and been like, get your shit together. Eat the tablespoon and close the fucking jar.
It was my first prep, I'm good now.
That's amazing. Man. I'm gonna have to start telling people that though, because I had a client that I put it in the off season, and I was like, here, we were just adding fat, and I was like, he wasn't really hungry.
Yeah,
seemed simple at night, and then like after a couple of weeks, he was really putting on weight, and I'm like, man, the only change is the 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, right? And he's like, about that. I was like, oh God, you gotta be kidding me. I could eat. I mean, have you ever had like almonds like as a fat?
Yeah.
I could just work those things all day. 14 almonds. I'm like one.
Oh yeah.
Walk away. Yeah. Interesting. Good question by that person. Very good question.
I purposely don't use nut butter in some people's diets because if I think it's a problem, I'll just take it out at some point.
Yeah.
Same with those little mini rice cakes. I used to give those to people because I can diet on them. Like I did a diet several times where I used mini rice cakes for a meal, and they were just delicious.
Yeah.
And I got ripped. And other people, they're like, oh, hey, that 50 grams of rice cakes. Yeah, I can't not eat the whole bag. It's like, fuck.
It doesn't have a sealable top. It's a single serving in my opinion.
Yeah. I know. Okay. Here's one for you guys. I'm going to reword it though, because it's kind of a mess. But imagine yourself at 60. What's your worst in sort of constant like reminder injury that's still nagging you?
My first wedding. Oh man. Shit. Well, number 160, I'm stoked I made it. It's a shocker for sure. Oh, my left shoulder for sure. That's the one I had surgery on. I have issues that go into the trap, the neck. Like every day, the start of my day is the Theragun into the scapula, all that. Basically, I'm like, just that left quarter of my body, hit that for 10 minutes, thanks.
Right.
Okay, good.
Right.
Now I can eat cereal. I'm ready.
I'm sort of with you. I think it's my neck, because that's where my lat and tricep issue come from, and everything that makes me crooked. And so I'd say when I'm older, my head will probably be like this all day long. Everyone will think I'm like deep thought, you know.
He's pondering.
Yeah, he's pondering. What about you, Scott? What's your kind of, you know?
I would have said
never
low back, but it's been, once I figured out how to stretch my hip flexors, it changed my life. So I'll say my shoulder, because I don't know, man. You get into your 40s, and I tore my shoulder last year or the year before now, and all I did was like stretch at the refrigerator. I was like, oh, that was weird. I mean, it was probably like ready to go from having done some pretty heavy stuff the day before, you know, but it was, you know, it was one of those like Branch Warren, you know, accidents where you really didn't do anything and you tear something. So I have a feeling that shoulder it hates me. It's
coming.
It is.
It hates.
It's going to have its vengeance.
It you. Here's one for you. I have to go on antibiotics for 90 days.
God.
Any tips to try to help with the side effects, etc.?
90 days? What did she have? Oh, I mean,
no.
Sorry. Usually it's just a one-shot situation.
Yeah, or a week of like, you know, orals.
I mean,
I don't know.
All joking aside, I mean, 90 days. I guess my biggest thing would be the digestive problems would be a train wreck.
I think probiotics, and you'd have to really take some good probiotics to try to battle the destruction of all biotics in your gut.
Yeah, I mean that'd
be the number one thing.
And I would just play with how much you would need to make that happen, because I imagine you're going to be well overdosed, because you're essentially at zero when you start. Right. I'd be doing enzymes too with every meal, just for a fighting chance. But I mean, everybody knows that. That's the biggest fear. As soon as you go on antibiotic, like, well, I'm not going to shit for 4 days. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Or I won't like really absorb and digest my food. I'll shit fine, but it won't really make a difference.
Yeah, nothing's happening. Man.
Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, that was the only things I could think of, truthfully, because I don't know beyond that what you could do.
Yeah, I would say probiotics would be you'd have to figure out you'd want to invest in like a good one that had a really high potency to it. You know what I mean? I don't know how many millions of what do you know about that stuff, Scott?
I think there's so much. I've learned in the last couple of years that there's so many different probiotics too. My thought would be like figure out what the person needs. You know what I mean? Because it's like nowadays it's like they're so popular. You can see like a protein powder that says now with probiotics, and it's like they're not all the same. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Here's a good one. What are your thoughts on people that back into their parking spaces?
Well, it depends on what they drive. Because if you watch someone in a long bed 4-door truck, they cannot turn into a parking spot. It's not possible. That's not going to happen. I mean, if I'm in a parking lot and it's tight at all, I always have to back in. And what sucks is some of the cities don't allow that.
Dude, I know.
Oh,
so you
really?
So you have to literally like 3-point park to stab a parking spot, because they want your license plate facing in the same direction as everyone else.
Yep. I had a van and I went to a show, and it was in Ferndale. And I swore after that, I was like, I'm never going to go back to fucking Ferndale again. I had to do the same thing. Like I backed in and I came out. I was like, oh, great show and everything. And it was like, I went to go see a comedian, and we came out to the car, and I had a ticket because I backed into the spot. I was like, what? I never heard of this.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I never heard of that either, but we have license plates on the front of our cars here too, where I live.
That's ugly. You should stop.
Got to have front and back. You have to. So maybe that's why they let us back into our spots. You know,
maybe it's just to piss off the person that's bothered by it that asked the question.
I'm not a back in. I'm not a back in person unless it just happens to be like the the easiest way to get into it. If I go to get into a spot and realize it's too small, and then I realize there's one behind me, I'm like, oh, back into it. But I'm not like a back in type of guy, So the only thing I hate is when with certain vehicles, if someone backs in, it kind of fucks up your door opening. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love
Depends
it.
on what they drive.
I don't know if you guys knew this about me. I drive the opposite of a big vehicle now. I drive a Mini Cooper. So I park sideways. Yeah, I'll park like sideways in a parking spot.
He's driving a go-kart. He comes in literally on 2 wheels.
Yeah.
This'll do.
Anything. Cockeyed, it doesn't matter. Nobody's hitting your doors because you got like 3 feet of space. You know what I mean?
What do you think of the Mini Cooper? Those are cool.
It's fun, man. It's really fun to drive because it's like a go-kart, and it's got like some nice pickup, especially in like the stop and go stuff and like the round the sharp corners, and it's fun, man. It's a fun vehicle.
What color is yours?
It's blue. It's called electric blue, I think it's like one of those upgraded colors, kind of has like a metallic sheen.
Why did you
to
not
it.
pull this on the screen? Why do we pull half naked men on screens and not electric blue Mini Cooper?
I want to see your Mini Cooper.
I'll get a pick for you guys. But
there we go.
It's fun. I've had it for like 5 years now. It's been
What's the movie they did when they re-released the Mini Cooper and the
Italian Job?
The Italian Job, and they Mini Cooper, did the product placement there and got their car in the movie, and it was awesome. Yeah, that's a great movie. That's a remake, obviously, but the remake is awesome, and the car chase, the whole
with 3 of them or 4 of them.
Oh yeah, what a great scene.
You feel like you can, like on the freeway and stuff, you feel like you can get into any spot. Like you can just do anything in it, It's nice. Not like except for like when you're trying to pick up gym equipment. Not good for that.
Time and place.
Yeah, fuck. Okay. Do you have any, Dusty?
I have a million. I was letting you run. We were rapid firing. I was enjoying it.
I felt bad. Would you like a live band at the Mr. Olympia as an intermission? Or do you want them to play songs while the competitors walk out?
No, I would like the live band in the intermission times so I can enjoy the band, wake me up from the boredom of half of the Olympia, and then I'm ready for round 2.
Right. What show is it where Kevin Lavrone's band actually played?
Oh, man.
Was it Toronto Classic one year?
Oh, I forgot. And I do remember that taking place, and I can't remember.
I didn't even know that happened, but that's amazing.
Yeah, Full Blown. They were called Full Blown.
Yeah.
Kevin Lavrone's band.
Oh, this is an important one. This is from my client. Which letter is silent in the word scent? Is it the S or the C?
Huh.
I was like, fuck, I don't know. Because wouldn't it be scent if they were both being pronounced?
Well, yeah, you could just spell them both the money way, and the person would know what you were talking about. But we have 2 different spellings in the same sounding word, just like English does.
If we do like to just fuck with stuff, it's terrible.
Oh no, you need a silent letter on that one.
Throw one in, fuck it. All right, let's see. Hose? What the hell?
Hose?
No, I was reading a question because a guy said favorite sex pose, and I'm like,
I have a question for
we don't do that where I'm from.
The wheelbarrow. The wheelbarrow.
I've got one for Ron, actually, and I may be off on this. Ron, did you ever act in a TV show?
Yeah. I had a couple of speaking roles that
I know, Dusty, right?
That made it past the cutting room floor and into the actual episodes on TV. Yeah, I've done that a couple times.
Well, why did we not know this?
And why are we not watching it right now?
I couldn't find it. I went online. I looked for this shit. There was no record for as far as I could tell.
Ron, send the record.
Yes. I was on a show way back in Australia. There was a show called Fire, and it was like firemen,
Yeah.
And of course they were good looking firemen, and there was like, like the one fire guy was banging the hot fire girl, and there's drama, and there's, it's a show about firemen. And they cast me to be a mechanic across the street. Huh. So I was
You weren't one of the handsome firefighters?
No, those were all like real famous people in us. Like they were like TV famous people. And I didn't know who any of them were. So, anyways, I got cast. They called the gym one day and they were like, we're looking for a big bodybuilder with an American accent. And they were like, oh, well, we have a big Canadian kid here. And they were like, oh, well, send him down. So I went down and met somebody, and he was like, you're perfect. Why don't you come and do the show, and blah, 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 blah. Long story short, they dressed me up like a mechanic, and the fire guys like were talking to me. I don't know the context of the scene because I never saw the final show, but I was just answering a question like, yeah, man, blah, blah, blah. I don't remember what I said. But I know it made it into the episode because after I left Australia, I had somebody message me, and they were like, hey, I saw you in the TV show Fire. Yes. And I was like, no way. So yeah, I guess I made it on screen. And then there was a show called Blackstone, and it was here in Canada. And I got called to be a strip club owner. They wanted a big bodybuilder. And I went down, and my scene was with, I guess there's 2 strip clubs that are like a city apart. And the one strip club guy got cut off and couldn't get dancers from like the gangsters anymore. So he called me in, and he's like, can I have some of your girls? And I'm like, how, you want some of my girls? He's like, yeah, can I have some of your girls? Can you send them up? Come and dance at my club. And my name was Tiny. And I don't remember and I was like big. I was like 320 when I shot that. And I remember the line was, he goes, I can't remember what he said. Like, oh, it's, oh yeah. He goes, the guy said to me, he goes, oh, look like you're juicing pretty hard there, Tiny. And I go, and I shake his hand, and I go, haha, it's all natural, bro. And then he goes, yeah, about as natural as my girlfriend's tits.
It's the worst writing ever. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then I laugh, and we do a bro hug, And then he's like, so I need some of your girls. And we had this scene that we shot, and it made it into the episode. It was like cut pretty short, but it made it into the show. So yeah, did a couple of TV shows. I got, some words in on.
Ron is a superstar. Why is he even on the show with us?
I don't know.
It's out of control. It's out of control. He is a celebrity.
I don't know. No one watched either one of those shows. Only a few people saw those.
I saw it in my mind just now, and it was amazing. Natural as tits. That's the worst lines ever. Okay.
Yeah. As natural as my girlfriend's tits.
I can't believe no one asked Ron a music question. I was just scanning through mine to see if somebody knew to ask. Oh my God.
I've got one other thing. If you guys
shoot.
All right. I see this actually might. I'm gonna do something a little different here. Check this out. You watching, Dusty?
Watching.
I'm Ron Partlow, co-owner of West Coast Iron.
Can you guys hear that?
We've been open for just over 4 years, going strong, other than being shut down. The decisions around gyms have been made by people who have no
you don't have to play the whole
awareness of the consequences of how they disturb other people's lives.
Hold on a second.
I have members in here.
I'm gonna air that on the channel. I talked to the guy. This is a fucking awesome shot video, dude. I just saw this on Instagram yesterday.
He used to work for Mutant for forever.
Yeah.
I'll actually send you one to use then, if you want.
I talked to the guy. He sent me a link to it.
Oh, okay.
So I got it.
Cool.
I got it. But I just figured I'd bring it up because we didn't
explain what it is here for everybody, because only 120,000 people have seen it so far.
Oh shit. So all that happened was my buddy Trevor, who Trevor Schmitty, who shoots for Mutant. He's shot a lot of our content over the years. He called me. He's like, hey, I'd like to do a video about the gym closures and how the government sort of panicked to do it, and there's blah blah blah, And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, what do you want to do? And he said, I just want to come in and just ask you some questions and get it on video and see what I can get out of it. And I was like, okay. So he just showed up one day just as we were finishing our workout. And I just sat down on a box and answered questions for took about 10 minutes. And he had all the questions. He just said oh, hey, how has this affected the gym? How does this make you feel as a business owner? What do you think the government could do? But, he just asked me those sorts of questions and I just answered them. And then he left. And then the next day he goes, hey, I got the video done. And I was like, oh, okay, well, if you want to throw it up. I didn't even put 2 seconds of thought into
no kidding.
It was going to get 120,000 views in one day. And so he threw it up and I saw it and I watched it and I was like, oh, it's hard to watch yourself talking seriously. It's kind of you know how we're critical of watching ourselves sometimes. And I was like, fuck.
Only you, but yes.
No, you know what I mean? But I thought he did a really good job, And so I just reposted it and then I put my phone away and I went and trained and turned my phone on afterwards. And I was like, what the fuck?
Hell yeah.
And it just went crazy. And it's just, I can't even respond to the, there's so many reposts and messages. It just went fucking crazy. And been overwhelmingly good response. There's some really horrible people out there.
Really?
Go out of their way. Oh yeah. Some of the comments, Smitty actually posted it to his page, right?
Yeah.
So that you can comment, right? So I think there's 700 comments, 700. Yeah. And some of the comments are just the most horrible people. You know? They're just, they see COVID as everything should be closed. You guys are just fucking selfish cunts. You guys don't deserve to be open, blah, 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 blah. Just, those types of people that just live in that alternate reality and don't understand how the world works at all. And the whole point isn't even and then there's some people that are just so fucking dense and zeroed in on their narrative that they think I'm an anti-vaxxer. Oh, look at this anti-vaxxer doesn't want to close his gym. Yeah. And I'm I'm actually double vaxxed and I'm not an anti-vaxxer. And you fucking idiots. And they just see everything they can't imagine that a person could want their business open and also think COVID's real. They don't I don't know. They don't.
It's got to be black or white. There's no.
Got to be black or white, right? There's no nuance at all. There's no room for discussion. And the argument isn't that our gym should be open because people should die.
That's not going to sell. That's true.
The argument is our gym should be open because there's no sensible reason to force us to close while everyone else gets to do everything else. Right. Go to movie theaters, go to fucking pubs and get drunk, go to Canucks games with 9,000 other people, go to a packed Costco, go to the mall with 0 distancing or capacity limits at any of the mall. It's fucking nuts at Christmas. So that's our argument. But these people think the argument is, I'm selfish, people deserve to die. That's literally what they think. They're so fucked up. A lot of people have lost their minds.
It's actually wild to see the blindness of people, but also I find just like bodybuilding, a lot of things in life, if you just really simplify them, you can make your decision based on your views. We went up to Asheville, which is in North Carolina, and North Carolina is a blue place versus red. So they're still masked and all this shit. We went to a dessert bar and they had a sign that you had to have a mask on, but where we were going to go have this dessert was in an enclosed area of a hookah lounge.
Right.
I'm like,
yeah.
So we're all sitting on top of each other, smoking hookah and blowing it into the air. Yeah, I'm not going to put a mask on to walk in to sit down there. You're cool with that? The guy's like, yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. I'm like, it is. It's a little silly.
Yeah.
Logic out the window.
Yeah, it's been interesting. The one comment, not the one. There's a bunch of comments oh, I'll take my information from a public health officer and not from some juice head.
Well, you said ask for it. That's what you said in the video, was to ask for it.
And I said, yeah, that's the problem. They haven't provided a single shred of data that shows that gyms are any more of a problem than anything else with any reasonable
I asked them for that also, but they wouldn't say.
Like they're not listening to the words that what's that movie? Are you listening to the words that are coming out of my mouth? So but the overwhelmingly the response has been positive. And I think, I was really surprised. Like I wasn't as surprised with it going viral locally,
right,
because in the province we're dealing with that. But then today Ontario just shut their gyms.
Oh, no
So
kidding.
the video is gone. It's gone. And then also a lot of American guys reposted it and people in Europe reposted it. And I realized they're reposting it because they're all like, they all went through lockdowns too, and they all don't want to go through another one. So I was like, oh shit. And they're just getting reposted everywhere. So it's been crazy. I appreciate everyone that, watched the video and didn't think I was a grandma killer.
Shout out to Trevor for putting that together then, because when I watched that, man, I was like, man, this is so well put together. I assumed you guys like put your heads together. You sat down, you put a lot of thought in. He just came, he obviously did, and he asked you the questions he needed, and he got some really cool like filler shots of the empty gym, and it was powerful, man. You did a hell of a job with that.
Yeah, that's all Trevor. I got all these messages. I sent Trevor a message. I was like, hey, thanks for creating the video and making it look like I had anything to do with it at all. 'Cause I had all these messages from people that are like, wow, that video you did.
Yeah.
Like, you did such a good job on that video.
With no one's help.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Once again, Dusty,
I'd be like, yes.
That's a story of my life. I show up and talk and leave.
Likewise. I got nothing. I'm like,
I did that in school. Hey, if we do all the work, will you present the project? I'm like, yeah, I can do that.
That's where I come in.
Yeah,
that's
cool. No, so yeah, if check out the video and I'll make sure you post it up, Scott, and I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's another one. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment, and
ring the bell.
There you go. Happy New Year's, guys.
No doubt.
And you can tell we're getting old. We didn't even talk about New Year's.
Yeah, it's done. We're just one step further away from 2020, so that's cool.
I'm just looking forward to a huge year in crypto. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go. Here's a stat before I leave, just to make everybody think. 8 billion people in the world. There's over a dozen fiat currencies on the verge of collapse. And only 300 million people own crypto.
Huh.
That's wild.
This is the year of mass adoption. It's coming. Huge, that countries are going to make it legal tender. There's countries buying hundreds of Bitcoins in anticipation of what's going to happen. I'm just saying. I'm hopeful.
Me too.
As well.
Okay. Let's go, everybody. Thanks for watching. It's just bodybuilding.